In this video, I'll show you the tools for editing boxes, how you can add equipment, make connections, and how to organize your box. All this to make your documentation in OZmap easier. And if you want to understand more about any of the elements or functions I'm going to talk about in this video, we have videos that go into more depth about each of these things. Check them out here on our channel. Okay, I'm already inside a box in this CE7, and the first things we notice when we go inside a box are its diagram, its bottom menu, and its top menu. I'll start here by showing you the first icon in the lower menu, which is for adding a new splitter. When you click on this icon, you'll see all the possible options for adding a new type of splitter to your box. The options for balanced splitters and unbalanced splitters appear, and there is also the option to filter to find which splitters you would like here. Within the types, you've created yourself in splitter types. Here we also have letter representations. This letter A means it's a service splitter, and this letter F means it's a fused splitter, while this letter R means it's a network splitter, and the letter C means it's a connectorized splitter. So, here, I'm going to show you some examples inside the box so you can see how these splitters are represented inside the box. Here, then, I'm going to click on this 1-to-2 balanced splitter, which is a service splitter and is fused. A service splitter will be represented in white, like this one, which is also already connected to several clients. And this one, because it's a fused splitter, will have its outputs represented by dots. And because it's balanced, as we had chosen a balanced splitter, it has the two balls represented in the same color. Whereas here, we have this example of splitter 3, which is a network splitter, so it's represented in gray, with the balls in different colors, which means it's unbalanced. Let's just add a few more splitters here so you can see how they're represented. Here, now, I'm going to choose a 1x4 connectorized service splitter. As you can see, it is still represented in white, as it is a service splitter, but this time its outputs are represented by squares, as it is a connectorized splitter. Remember that the OZlocks viability analysis only considers splitters that allow client service. Also, when a client is created outside the box and the drop connected to it is drawn, these clients will automatically be connected to this service splitter. Here, with this second icon, we have the option of adding a new merge, while in this square here, we have the option of adding a new connector. In these, you just drag a fuser or connector to the fiber you want to place it on, or even place it there and connect it to the fibers. If you choose to place the fuser or connector on top of an existing fiber, that fiber will automatically split into two. In the top menu, we have the option of making multiple fusions, or placing multiple connectors at once. So, I'm going to exclude these fiber connections here to show you how this can be done. To create a multiple merge, for example, I'm going to click on this icon here, click on the first fiber in the desired source range, and then click on the last one in the range. And here on the other side, I'll just click on the first fiber. This way, the fusion will already be done automatically on all the fibers I've selected on the source side. Continuing in the bottom menu, this is where you add a switch. Clicking on this icon will open this window, where you can select the type of switch, whether it's a 12-port switch, a 24-port switch, or a 48-port switch. As with the splitters I showed you earlier, the switches also have these types of colors, so that the white switches also represent that they can be connected to clients, and the gray ones that have no connection to the client. And another differentiation is whether it's manageable or not. In other words, if it's manageable, the lighting won't pass through that switch. But if it's unmanageable, the light will pass through all these ports. So here, to show you, I'm going to click on these two types of switch to show you how they are represented in the diagram. Firstly, switch 12, which is apparently a network switch because it's represented by this gray color and it has 12 ports. Now, this second switch here, which is a 12-port switch, but which connects to clients, is represented by the color white. Continuing here in our lower menu icons, we can also add a new DIO. Here you have the options of a 12, 24, 48 DIO. But you can also add all of these to your DIO types in the Types menu. In the next icon, we also have the option of adding a new post-it note. Clicking on this icon will open the post-it settings window. In the text, you can put any text that will help you in this box. And for colors, you can choose the background color, the border color, and the height and width of the post-it. If you don't check the colors and size, it will end up as the default size and colors. Then just click Save. And finally, in this bottom menu, we have this X, which we're going to use here now to delete these elements we've created, and which is then used to remove multiple elements or even connections. Moving a little further on, in this menu, we have the option of generating a QR code for your box, which can be in PDF or PNG format. And in the Apply option here, you can save the changes you've made inside the box without closing the window. This allows you to continue making any changes you need to without having to close and open the box again. While in Save and Close, of course, the changes will be made, they will be saved, and the editing window will be closed. Now we can go to our top menu. In this menu, we have, in the first option, the way you're going to visualize the fiber inside the boxes, whether it's going to be by numbers, whether it's going to be by its direction or by its derivations. This second tool here is the Multiple Connections tool. It will represent a cable passing through the box without undergoing any editing, such as a fusion or connector. You make these multiple connections in the same way as I showed you earlier. You click on the first and last fibers on the source side and only click on the first fiber on the destination side. Then these connections will be made automatically. Here in these flashlights, you can illuminate to the left or to the right, thus illuminating the path that your fiber takes to the POP or to the client, for example. And it can be done on more than one fiber at the same time, so they are conjunctive. To turn off the lighting, you can either click on the fiber again to turn it off one by one, or even click on the flashlight here, outside the box, which turns it off all at once. In these two, you measure the OTDR. In other words, you enter the value that was measured, and OZmap will give you the location where the fiber came from, measured in meters in relation to the fiber that was measured. So in this one, you measure to the left, and in this one, to the right. All you have to do is click, for example, on the OTDR to the right, and then click on the fiber you want to know the distance from the OTDR. This window will appear here, in which you will type in the distance informed by the OTDR, and you can also choose here whether this OTDR will take into account the relief or not. You can find out more about this in the OTDR video. Next, we have this icon here, which is the power meter. So, if you want to know the power of any element, or the distance this fiber is traveling from the POP to here, just select this function here and click on the element you want, whether it's the fiber, the splitter, a client, or any other element. You click and this window will open, with all this information, which you can also see in the potency video. With this fiber start-end function, you can locate where the fiber started and which box it will end in. So you can see the ends of this fiber, which in this case is POP1, and its end is CE3. Closing here, in this next icon, we can centralize the box project. What is this for? In more complex diagrams, we can sometimes get lost inside the box, in this diagram, and if you're too far away from the center of the box, just click on this icon and it will direct you back to the center of the box. And now, in this next icon, you can export your box diagram to PNG or PDF formats. In both PNG and PDF diagrams, you can add your company logo to the generated image by simply adding the desired image in the logo field of your system settings. Now, in the more organizational part of the box, you can rotate these elements. With this icon here, which rotates clockwise, just click on it and it will rotate the element you click on clockwise. This helps to organize the box. For example, in this case where we need to place one cable facing another so that the fibers aren't represented in a confusing way, or one of the ways you can represent these fibers is if you document these elements by direction. In other words, a cable coming from the south, a cable coming from the west, a cable coming from the east. You can also add vertices to the fibers, so you're creating a design that's free but organized at the same time. Just click on the fiber here, and this X option will appear, and you can make it straight again. Or, in the case of these straight fibers, you can just click on it, which will give you the option of moving it in some way where you can leave it the way you want and organize it the way you prefer. So you can make more complex designs inside your box, inside your diagram. And by right-clicking on a cable, you get these options here, where you can go to the next box. Where that connection is, you can remove that cable or go into editing, and you can also see the properties of that element. And finally, here in the clients, we have some more representations that will help you interpret your documentation in an easier way that you can just look at and understand what the status of these clients is. If it's dotted, which is the case of this client here, Tysa, it means that its status is not implanted. And in the case of these clients here, who are not dotted but have this check mark, it means that their status is implanted and certified. While, lastly, this one here, which doesn't have a check mark but isn't dotted either, means that it's implanted but not yet certified. As I said at the beginning of the video, any element or function you want to know more about, we have more videos on our channel where you can learn more about these functions. Also, if you have any questions, you can contact our support team via our chat.